Welcome to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast series. Here we talk about all things franchising. What is it all about? Is it for you? How do you find the best one to own? And so much more. Now your host, Tim Parmeter.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 series. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach, and your Franchising 101 host. Today, we are going to have a very in-depth conversation about what is essentially the final step in the journey to become a franchise owner. You're going to hear the terms discovery day or meet the team day. They're somewhat interchangeable depending on the franchises. We want to talk a lot about this, and to help us learn more about this from both sides of the equation, we've brought in one of our franchise partners to talk about this big day from the franchisor perspective as well. But before we get to that, let's give you a quick reminder of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with well over 500 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. Our goal is to help clients find the absolute best franchise to own. And the goal of the Franchising 101 podcast is to help educate people on all aspects of franchise ownership. All right, that's that stuff. Now let's get to our guest. Joining us today is the Executive Vice President for Franchise Development for Senior Helpers, our good friend, Mr. Rob Cantrell. Rob, how are you, sir?
I am well, Tim. How are you? Good to see and hear from you.
Same here, my friend. And appreciate you joining us. I know you are busy, and I'll give the air quotes around busy for you. So I know you. Yeah, no, great. So thanks for joining us, man. And I'm excited to hear from franchisor perspective on Meet the Team Day and Discovery Day, but we can't jump into that yet. We got to have a little fun. I always like to hear from our guests on their journey into franchising, because I can pretty much do a 9 out of 10, if not more. It's some random, crazy, dumb luck. Next thing you know, you're in franchising and never ever leave. Give us your scoop, man. How'd you get into this crazy world?
Well, it is a crazy world, that's for sure. So let's see. How did I get into franchising? Well, I was living in my hometown of Bel Air, where one of the franchise brands here in Maryland has their headquarters, Kiddie Academy, which is an educational childcare franchise. And I would drive by this building on my way to the gym every day. So, and I would see this logo on the side of the kiosk, and it had like a two-headed child or something. It was head going this way, head going this way. And I always would laugh and say, how is that building so nice with that kind of logo? Well, anyhow, I responded to an ad that I saw on LinkedIn and for an interview. And instead of doing the phone interview like I was supposed to, I just showed up thinking it was an in-person interview. So I was kind of surprised them when I showed up, but the rest is history. I met the team, I got the job, and they've since changed their logo to a much better looking logo, and a very successful run with that brand, and they're still doing great. But that's how I got into franchising.
So the number one thing every franchise looks for in a franchisee is following the plan, right? Would you if we ask every franchisor what's the main thing you're looking for? You're looking for somebody that's going to follow the plan, right? So you started off in the industry basically not following the plan, but still somehow by not reading that pesky little email of your interview, and you just bum rushed them and showed up.
That's exactly how it happened, Tim.
Okay.
Yes.
So like, man, we love this guy's initiative. Meanwhile, you just didn't take the time to actually read.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Good tip on Rob. So before we get into Meet the Team Day, I'm going to time you on this. You get a whopping 2 minutes. So, senior helpers, what do you guys do? Tell us.
Okay, so Senior Helpers, the brand I'm with now, is I would consider one of the leading brands for home care franchises. We provide a non-medical service helping seniors in their homes predominantly with a variety of care needs. I mean, a lot of folks have underlying chronic illnesses, conditions, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. Senior Helpers is the leader in the pack on providing those in need of that type of care with the best caregiver and provider solutions. So we have just celebrated our 20-year anniversary. I think we're 354 territories sold now. I've been here, I guess, on my 7th year, and just can't imagine being anywhere else. It's given me a great opportunity, but I've met a lot of great folks along the way, folks that FranCoach has sent our way, and we've had some success there. But we're continuing to grow as a brand. I mean, the aging population is the fastest growing sector of the population. They call it the silver tsunami. Every day, an additional 12,000 seniors ages in this country, and there's just solutions are running short for where they need the help. And Senior Helpers has got the answer on so many levels. I call it a mission-driven but for-profit industry. If you're looking to make a difference, to impact lives, to really have a business you can feel proud of, then Senior Helpers is certainly one of the ones I would say that checks those boxes.
Yeah, without question. And I was if I was remotely prepared for what I do on this podcast, I would be able to tell everybody when the last time we had you on talking specifically about Senior Helpers. But we've had so many dang episodes now. Scrolling back through there is a little.
You're famous now, Tim. I can't believe you've had me on now a second time. So
it is really kind of amazing. But the first 14 people I had planned for this bailed. So we had to get to you. So let's talk about Discovery Day and Meet the Team Day. And so just kind of like preface this for folks. So when we're working with our clients and we get them, we start looking at maybe 3 franchises. That overall journey, that discovery process takes 6 to 8 weeks. There's 10, 12, 15 different steps along the way. It is incredibly thorough. It is also mutual. We're helping our clients vet you pesky franchisors, but you're also vetting them. And then as we get all the way to the end, really the last step is, again, the Discovery Day or the Meet the Team Day. Pre-COVID, these were always in person. Then now we've got a kind of a mix. Some franchisors are back doing these in person. Some are still doing them virtual. But it is really the last thing. It is a full day in person. Sometimes it's an evening and then a day. There's a lot going on. It's very, very intense. But really kind of designed to that. When you're done with that Meet the Team Day, like that's it. You're going to know for sure. And people always roll their eyes at me, but Robbie, you can speak to this too. You really won't feel like you're making a decision. When you get all the way done, you're going to be like, yes, this is absolutely the one from a client perspective and from your standpoint. So I want to talk a little bit about what to expect as a franchise candidate attending this. But what about from the franchisor standpoint? I feel like we always kind of forget about your role in this because you are still vetting the franchise candidate as well. So talk about maybe, and I know you guys do yours still virtual mostly now, right? But what is all entailed in a Meet the Team Day or a Discovery Day? Talk about some of the things that will just happen during that event.
Yeah, so ours are, I would say 99% still virtual. I was old school back at the beginning of the pandemic. I was thinking, it was the end of the world of franchising, and Meet the Team Day was always supposed to be in person, and you take them out and have a nice dinner, get to know them, then they meet the team, take a tour of the office, and that's how it was done. So I was a skeptic going back, but now 2.5 years into this, and we've closed more deals in the past 2 years than we did the prior 2 years. It tells me that it's effective the way we're doing it. And I think with the advancement in technology as we're on today, and getting a little leaner and meaner in your organization, I think it's certainly lended itself to the success that we've had anyhow. So to your point, Meet the Team Day or Discovery Day, I don't know a lot of brands that are calling it Discovery Day anymore, because I think with our steps in our process, the education is pretty much under their belt leading into that. So if they're really discovering much by the end of the process, then I haven't really done my job. We could have called it confirmation or affirmation. It depends on what word you want to choose. But Meet the Team Day, we felt was more appropriate to really what we're doing, because that's when the leadership of our team gets to meet this candidate that I've built this relationship with, and we're pretty friendly at this point. I've asked questions, and we've probably been on countless phone calls. And if we're working with one of your candidates, we might have all three been on phone calls. But the rest of our executive team, who all has a vote and weighs in on the candidates that I bring forth, they haven't had an opportunity. So it's really important for our team to get to know the candidate during that day, and that's where I think the candidates sometimes can fall short, or sometimes they can really shine and show how great they are.
Yeah, and so as people kind of understand this, like when we're getting there, and you've gone through all these conversations with somebody like Rob in their position, and not that we don't trust Rob, but you're hearing everything really from him, right? You've had some validation calls with owners, maybe usually 2 or 3 of those to kind of check and balance piece of that. But if you've had a couple conversations, say with Rob about senior helpers, and it's what about the marketing, right? Hey, we kind of need customers if I'm going to be a franchise owner of senior helpers. And you've heard about all the things, but now Meet the Team Day, here comes the entire marketing team, right? And everybody that you're there, and it kind of takes everything really, I think it feels like it takes everything to another level, right? I mean, right. It's if we were a food brand, right? They're not giving you the recipe for how to, make the secret sauce, but you're all of a sudden you're over, like, I think borderline overwhelmed with how many people and how many steps go into this. So it's, and in fact, your role really for people in kind of Rob's front facing position, you don't do a whole bunch at the Meet the Team Day. It's really connecting you with, again, thus the name, everybody else within the team. So it's really kind of those different kind of categories of your business and all those things that are going to support the franchise, being able to meet all of those folks, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the greeter and the guy who introduces the next series of meetings as the day goes through. And then I'm on at the end of the Meet the Team Day, and we kind of recap and review, the results of the day. But
you're the Walmart greeter, basically.
I am the Walmart greeter when they get started.
It's a perfect role for you.
Yes, exactly. That might be my retirement role too.
Very cool. What are some things that you're looking for in a candidate, right? And I think both sides, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, and this is kind of hard to quantify, but you'll hear this a lot. You should be kind of 90% there as a potential franchisee, right? Like, you're not trying to learn 50 million things. You're really just trying to kind of get that last little sense of this. And same thing from your side. But what are some key elements that you're looking for in a candidate on that day?
So before I get to that, I do want to comment on what you were saying about the candidate being 90% there, and also wanting to hear from others on the team, not just me. I think one of the things that has made us so successful, I've got a pretty tight process of education, validation, and then Meet the Team Day. But our team, the subject matter experts that are actually helping them, they're all really good at what they do. And although I go through a fairly comprehensive overview of what to expect from each department, having the individuals responsible for their role kind of going through that, and for the candidate to kind of see that passion for what they do, I think really helps sell our brand and just seal the deal for folks. I don't know if I want them 100% there going into Meet the Team Day. Almost there, or pretty sure they're going to do it, but I want them just as comfortable with our team as we are with them as well. So, and one of the things we're really lucky here is that we've got a lot of talented folks that are as interested in their success as they are. So I think that really lends itself to, having an effective process. But what we look for, as I mentioned, it's their first time meeting these folks. So I think preparation is key, and you do a great job at this, Tim. When you've got a candidate, you coach them on kind of the pregame. It's hard for me to tell a candidate, "Hey, you need to show your best to our team," because it kind of comes off a little wonky when you say it that way. But for you, as you're coaching them, let them know that the team is checking them out too. The benefits of being on a call like this, a video call, is that we can do things remotely and save time, what have you. But it's harder to judge engagement if someone is maybe like I have three screens. If I'm glancing over here or here, you may think that I'm not engaged or I'm just bored with you, Tim. The person on the other end of the camera is interpreting these things, and as we all know, first impressions really matter. So I would say test your camera, test your technology, have it figured out where you can basically be as close to having a real conversation with someone as far as your focal point needs to be is very important. I think, for our brand, I send an agenda with a bio for each of the folks that they'll be speaking with, just so they have a little bit of understanding and background. I would suggest if a candidate's coming through and they know who they're going to speak with, do a LinkedIn search on that individual, learn a little bit about them. This is going to be the folks, franchising is like a marriage. You're going to be living with these folks for a long time. Hopefully you want to know kind of a little bit about them. So I think add some personal touch from that aspect. You're going to hear, questions, how long have you been with the company, or tell me why, you chose senior helpers, and you'll hear some great stories from folks. And that also gives candidates a sense of culture. So I would say have something to make a personal connection, definitely show engagement and interest, and then specific questions for each of the folks you're going to speak with. Definitely have some well thought out questions going into that.
Yeah, and I think that you talked about this, that connectivity that you have, and really on both sides. But I mean, we tell our clients as they're going through this, don't discount the fact that you are able to connect with the people within the franchise, because they're your go-to. You want to feel like you can trust them. They have your back. You want to look around, whether it's virtual or in person. Do I feel like I'm in the right room? And really that kind of trust your gut piece is so huge, because this is let's be honest, the average length of time somebody owns a franchise is longer than the average length of time they are married. So we want to not everybody overachieves like you there, brother. So, or certainly me, I just haven't overachieved as long as you have with that one, right? So you want to make sure you feel that connectivity with the other people, right? Within that franchise brand. And you talked about something. No, I know for you guys, a lot of yours are one-on-one. There are times where these meet the team days, there might be 3, 4, 5 other candidates that are there as well with that dynamic. Being able to ask questions. I always say there's a difference between asking questions and questioning. Right. Right. Hey, Rob, why'd you wear that gray shirt today? Or like, why are you wearing that? Are you crazy? Right. That tone, because especially your people within the organization that are helping, they're going to be that really frontline training, support, operations, all those things. That's like nails on the chalkboard when it's why are what the heck are you doing that for? Talk a little bit about the importance of asking the question, because again, what are we looking for you guys? Like, is this person going to follow the plan or not? Right? Is really key.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, Tim. If you've got someone that, I think having questioning a system or a company is important. You need to do your due diligence. But if you're going into a meet the team day through the lens of a skeptic, and you're asking a question like you just said in that way, it's going to put the presenter kind of on the heels, like, almost not defensively, but it's going to make them a little insecure about, why you're really asking those types of questions. Should this have been part of your due diligence when you did validation or gone through the process? That's certainly, people, you get a lot more with honey, they say, when it comes to, and any service related company, we consider our franchise support center a service center for our franchisees. You're going to get much better service if you know how to treat the folks that are giving you that support and approach them the right way. Nobody wants to feel as though they're being questioned in a negative way. But certainly, I think if you've got questions, if there's any hot buttons, you and I should have figured that out before they even got to meet the team day. If there are objections, it's our job in the development process to exhaust every last objection or question or uncertainty, insecurity. We need to have all that figured out, because it's really not the place to figure that out on the meet the team day. Yeah. That's why one of the reasons we don't, our brand, we do them one-on-one. We're not and other brands that do it other ways, I don't, that works for them. But for us, it's such a personal thing. When we're going to commit to a franchisee, we're all in, and we want to get to know you individually. It's hard to do that with three or four others in a day.
Yeah.
And I just,
you can't hide when it's I was gonna say one-on-one, it's like 10-on-1, right? With that. So yeah, no, and we don't want anybody, like, you should be coming to the table asking some questions and things that you want to learn or want more clarity on, or people will ask me sometimes, like, well, what questions should I have, like, at Meet the Team Day? I'm like, well, what questions do you have, right? And some of it just comes up naturally because you're getting into like next level stuff, right? It's somebody's talking about marketing or operations or the software systems, whatever. And all of a sudden they've talked about a next level thing that you didn't know. That might prompt something. Hey, tell me more about that. Or hey, give me a little more color, a little more clarity on it. Really that conversational dialogue. I always, my cheesy analogy, it's like dating, right? It's like, if you're on a date and you're halfway through dinner and you're like, whew, I really hope my phone rings with an emergency, right? How do I get out of this? Because I got nothing else to talk about. We're in the wrong spot. But if all of a sudden it's been a great conversation and back and forth, then again, you're in the right room. You're in the right place, right? Yeah. So, what's and the yours are now virtual, right? But the ones that are back in person, one of the big, I think, very cool features of this is, you mentioned this, like, hey, usually there's a dinner the night before, right? And get a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more social, which is cool for the ones that still get to do that. I know you mentioned you really enjoyed that as well. There is one little dynamic I always warn people of. There's this thing called alcohol. And so I'm sure you and I can spend the next hour talking about stories of, I don't know how to better say this, somebody being a dumbass, acting like they're at a college party, and we get #MeToo moments. Yeah. If you drink, have a couple of drinks. Like, this should be common sense, but don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Don't go on the menu and look at that, where it says market price, or you get lobster tails and filet, which it depends on where you're going for the dinner. You'll see it. That says a lot about a person too. If that's kind of where their instinct is going right away. We've got plenty of those stories from when we were doing them in person of folks, but.
Yes, have fun, get to know people, but just there's, if the one day I'm going to eventually write a book, and it's something called "If Common Sense Was Common, It Would Just Be Called Sense," right? So we have to kind of point those things out, but it is really a great opportunity to just kind of, again, get to know people on a little bit more personal level. Not that you can't do that during the actual day, but it is a little bit more business focused, because you got things you got to be able to learn. So what kind of, like, the culmination of the day, right? Whether we're in person or it's virtual. And I know everybody's a little bit different, but we're kind of done at that point, right? So what should somebody expect, whether it's right away at the end of the day or typically within the next day or two? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, for us, so I've got to, at the conclusion of the day, I let the candidate know that the team, we all meet and talk about you, the candidate, how the day went. Not you, Tim, but the candidate. But we might talk about you too.
Unless they're bad, they're like, oh, that par meter guy.
That par meter guy, or this is just bad for us. No, just kidding. We have a kind of a review recap of the candidate. We go through, the pros and cons, and each team member has a vote as far as whether we should award the franchise or not. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen if someone feels strongly enough on the leadership team. They got to live with the individual that I put through and you put through. And if they're not happy and they just can't see that being a match, then that's their chance to raise their hand. And unfortunately, because of some of the reasons we've talked about, we've had to, say thanks, but no thanks to candidates at that point. If we've done our job correctly and we've coached and given them, some tips, that rarely happens, but it does, unfortunately. But it also gives the team ownership of the candidate as well. It's not just, the one that we push through. It's kind of a team sport here at Senior Helpers, so everyone gets their say and gets to know the individual as well.
Yeah. I think people looking at franchising for the first time think it's like a transaction, right? I'm being sold or I'm buying, but they're really awarded, right?
Yeah.
And it's semantics, but it's really true, right? I can say all day long, Rob, let me cut you a check. I want to be a Senior Helpers owner. But until you and your whole team, and not just Senior Helpers, any franchise that's worth a dang, right? Yeah. Is they really are vetting the person, because like you guys aren't in the business of collecting a franchise fee and letting people fail. It needs to be that long-term partnership, right? Yeah. So that's it's hugely important.
And we put that out there early in the process. One of my first overview concept discussions, I put a whole slide together that's got all of our core values, because the industry we're in is, it's arguably the most susceptible in society, or young children and seniors, and can be taken advantage of. And we don't want that. So we want good stewards of our brand. So our core values are built around that, good communication, integrity without compromise, positive attitude. So these are things that I'm telling them up front that, we want to check most of the boxes for an individual of our core values, to yours, and moving forward. And that protects the brand and those that have come before you and those that will come after. It's really an important part.
And it's back to that connectivity, right? Like, it's one thing when, I'm sure people, you do that on a first conversation. Yeah, okay, whatever, right? That's blah. And then they hear it more, and then they talk to franchise owners, and they're hearing it from the franchise owners. They're feeling it. They meet the team day. It's why this is such a lengthy and thorough process, right? To be able, again, kind of just check the boxes, and it just keeps going from I don't know to all of a sudden again it's cheesy, I know, but it's dating. Right. It's like, oh, you seem kind of cute. I'll go out on a first date. And the next thing you know, you're saying I do. Right. Because it just continues to grow and grow from there. So that's awesome. Anything, I guess, maybe we didn't talk about that you would want somebody to think about or be prepared for, whether it's Senior Helpers? Of course, it should be Senior Helpers. Let's be honest, right? But because you're on, so we have to plug Senior Helpers, right? But any,
I'm sure you have a lot of other clients who would love to have you say that about.
But it's really, and you know this, it is such a personalized and individualized process, and so, and I appreciate you coming on, and even if it's somebody sitting out there going like, I don't like old people, I would never be good at that. Okay, well, the concept is the meet the team day, right? And so anything else, I guess, maybe that we're missing that you would want somebody to really kind of think about or have in mind as they're going through this and they're getting to that kind of final step?
I would say have everything in order if you are awarded and you plan on accepting. Don't come back to the franchisor and say, oh, that's great, I would love to do this. I need to start my 401k rollover this week, or I'm going to check into an SBA, or preparation. If you're going through a 6 or 8 week process and you're serious about getting into business and wanting to see yourself as a franchise owner, then you need to take the steps of readiness. Whether you say yes or no at that point is irrelevant, but having yourself in a position to say yes, because I will tell you, franchisors, you've heard the expression, time kills all deals. That award is not a forever award. If we award someone and we don't hear from you within a pretty, I would say, short amount of time, we're going to probably start to lose interest ourselves, because it just shows us that, okay, this person's maybe can't make decisions or lacks commitment. And those are things that we know don't lead to success in a franchise owner.
Yeah.
So I would say get your house in order on what your plans are if you are awarded, for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to propose and then wait a week to get the answer.
Yeah,
right?
You don't want to get down on your knee and say, "Will you marry me?" And then say, "Let me talk to you in a month." Okay, that just doesn't work though.
Yeah, I'd like to loop my wife in right now, because I was down there a little longer, but she claimed she couldn't get the words out. She was so excited. So, like, could you at least nod something, right? So that's the story we're going with. But the flip side of that is too, this is not like a timeshare, right? We're like, hey, we're not taking you back to the airport until you sign, right? No. But again, I want everybody to kind of, at that point, you're going to be assuming the positive, right? And have the proverbial ducks in a row. So that's a great point. So, Rob, thanks for coming on to join us today, man. I appreciate the insight. And I think a lot of times we talk about this from a, what's it like for that candidate perspective, but hearing the other side, oh crap, this really is an award process, and kind of all the things that go in on your side as well. So appreciate you coming on and joining us today to talk about that.
Tim, always a pleasure. And the fact that I got invited back says a lot about you, Tim. So thank you so much for having us, and maybe we'll do this again sometime, hopefully.
Sounds good, my friend. So thank you. And as always, thanks to all of our loyal podcast listeners. We hope the Franchising 101 series continues to provide insight into the amazing possibilities and all things about franchise ownership. You can find us online, franchising101podcast.net, francoach.net. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a franchise owner and maybe eventually getting to meet the team day yourself, send us a message. There's never any fee for our service. So let's get that first call set up and maybe help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks for listening to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast, where our ultimate goal is to help educate you on all things franchising so you can create your better tomorrow.